going back to the beginning or near the beginning of our interview when I'm talking about you hosting Big Blue Marble. What about hosting? How do you feel about hosting? Did you look at other hosts of other venues and how they presented their readings?
I've seen people who are very gentle, I've seen people who are very hospitable, and I thought, you have to make people feel welcome. You have to make people feel like what they have to say is important to you, and you want to hear what they have to say, and you want other people to hear what they have to say as well. And I think that is absolutely necessary to poetry. It's necessary for poets to feel. It's necessary to pass along. Otherwise, the art is going to die, because if people don't think that other people care about it, they're going to lose the incentive to write, and they're going to lose the incentive to put their stuff out there. And there's some really amazing talent that you get to see when you open things up to people. But I think that's the basic outlook of being a host. I think that there have been more gracious hosts than myself. That a lot of people who host venues will not read at their own venue because they say, well, this is for other people. And I think, wow, that is really selfless and really gracious, and I could never do that.
And one way that you're one of the best is you're one of the funnier hosts.
Yeah, well, thank you.
And also because we're in a circle, you're able to interact just at the right time and able to recognize aspects of the poet that are exceptional right then and there.
Well, that's another thing that being a host kind of frees you up to do. You can kind of make off-the-cuff comments if you make them quickly without disrupting the flow of the reader. You sort of have that authority to go ahead and stick your 2 cents in there wherever you want to. So I think, and I do take that license. So I find I'm pretty comfortable with being a host.
Like you to read another poem for us, and again, I'll leave this up to you.
They say never to write poems about poetry, but
Boo hiss on that.
everybody makes up rules, and some rules never really apply to poetry, but we, as poets, we apply our individual sets of rules. So that's one rule that I don't abide by. So this is about reciting poetry. He recites his poem as if he wrote it in one burst, as if he had not stopped for a snack, then returned to replace wrong word by wrong word, by near right word, by right word, by just right word. He recites his poem as if he had not put it aside half finished to make love to you, and forgotten about it and all the rest while he tried on your fingers and slipped into your skin, as if that hadn't changed him forever, once more, as if nothing ever changed, as if nothing that is might not be. He recites his poem as if wisdom and love were effortless and endless, as if all his words were just right words, as if he had not discarded so many just right words and started over, as if he were the lion, never outrun by a gazelle, as if he were the gazelle, never to be outrun by the lion, as if truth were eternal and eternity were true, as if the perfect fit of your fingers and your skin were not an extraordinary thing. He writes his poem as if he were capable of writing it again. I made a mistake.
We don't know.
He recites his poem as if he were capable of writing it again. We'll edit that out.
Better leave it in.
Do you set goals when you write, or do you just go with whatever?
I think I did at one time set goals, but I never reached them. So I find that you're better off not to. And I feel like I've written, as I said before, enough already that I don't really have to set goals. I just kind of write automatically now, and I feel like I'm free to write as much or as little as I care to. And I've also found that I've started not to believe in writer's block, because I think that what we perceive as writer's block sometimes is just we're developing our next piece. There's stuff going on in there, whether we're conscious of it or not. The next poem is forming. Whether or not it ever comes out is another issue, but there's something going on in there.
It's like
and you're never
incubating,
completely
sort of.
right. There's an incubation process, and once you start writing poetry, I think you're never really idle, and that's why I think that's a big advantage that we have, because we can just be sitting there doing nothing, and we're working.
That's true. All right. Well, we're winding down. So what I think I'm going to do is I have one request. You probably know what that request is, I'm sure. It's going to be the big poker game.
Okay.
But I thought you could do that, and we'll give you a chance to do one other one that you'd like to do.
Yeah. Well, the big poker game, which was once called the big poker game, and now it's called the eternal poker game. That's another thing that we do keep doing. We keep revising even after we think we've got the poem right. It's still subject to our own revision. So until the poet is dead, the work isn't done. It's now called the eternal poker game, and it has a little intro to it, which is about Einstein. Albert Einstein, that is, famously said, "God does not play dice with the universe," implying that things are not left to chance. But I have this dream where I'm sitting at a round table between God and Einstein. Albert Einstein, that is, and God. And Einstein turns to God and says, "Aha! I knew you didn't play dice with the universe." And God says to Einstein, "Shut up and deal." So things may not be left to chance, but in some form or another they probably are, even if the no dice theory is correct. This is the eternal poker game. There's a famous game of 5-card draw that everyone witnessed, but nobody saw. Round the table 5 players sat, hauntingly still. Fate, chance, and justice, and chaos, and will. Chance was the dealer. Justice went first. They played their hands almost as if they'd rehearsed. Justice took 2 cards, then Will took 2 more. Chance shrugged and took 3. Chaos took 4. And when his turn came, Fate impassively sat, though he said determinedly, "I'll stand pat." Will folded quickly. Then chaos gave in. Chance, fate, and justice all went for the win. None of them would admit hope for victory was gone, and so the 3 sat with their game faces on until the time came as the second hand swept to reveal the 5 cards those 3 players had kept. Chance had 3 sevens, justice a straight. All of the focus now fell upon fate. Over the game room there settled a hush. Then fate flashed a smile, and his hand, royal flush. They sit every day and they play their old game. Each time the contest's results are the same. Chance always deals, justice always begins. Will always folds first, and fate always wins. So,
I think it's accurate to say that's become your signature piece. Do you feel it's your signature piece? Do you feel it's your best piece?
No, I don't think it's my best, but I like it a lot, and I like the reception that it gets, and it's a fun piece to do. That's for sure. So I said that chance is the determining factor in my introduction. So why is it that fate wins? But my theory is that fate is actually chance in the past tense. So they're essentially one and the same. And, you know, since it's chance in the past tense, you can't beat the past because it's already there.
So we'll also give you a chance to a chance to do one that you just would like to do.
It's a good thing poets die. It's a good thing poets die. If not, there'd be no complete works. They'd just go on, revising, interminably. It's a good thing poets die. It's a good thing poets die. It's a source of hope for all of us who don't get famous during our lifetimes. There are a lot of us, and we all need hope. It's a good thing poets die. It's a good thing poets die. It's good for poetry. In case you haven't noticed, the best poets are dead ones. It's a good thing poets die. Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you for doing this series. This has been so marvelous that, to have such illustrious people as you've had already. It's something for posterity.
And thank you for doing it too. You have the thankless job of setting up the
It's not thankless. You're
camera
thanking me
and,
right now. So
you do the editing.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I love the poets that we've had so far,
Right.
and I can't wait for the next batch of poets. It was a wonderful interview. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.